Hey there, friends, and welcome to Pro Tools Answers, where 3 certified Pro Tools experts and avid instructors discuss, demonstrate, and elaborate on your Pro Tools questions put to the community in the official Avid Facebook support forum. I'm your host, Dave Phillips, audio engineer and lecturer based in the UK, and with me are my partners in actual crime, star of Crime Watch and master instructor at Tonkraftwerk in Austria, Anders Motz.
Hello.
And he regularly shows up in the backgrounds in episodes of Cops, although just the adults-only version. It's audio guru Andy Hageman.
Yay.
How's it going?
As for me, you'll find me on the list of FBI's least wanted, and as a person of no significant interest. Before we start, I just wanted to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters who are of significant interest, generously supporting each month. Many thanks to Don, Mike, Matthew, Gregor, and Eric. We continue to be eternally grateful for your support. Thank you very much, guys. If you would like to support our weekly work at Pro Tools Answers, you can head over to patreon.com/Pro Tools Answers, and you can see what's occurring over there. Apologies to the Welsh. This week's subject is everyone's favourite topic, shortcuts. But specifically those kind of everyday shortcuts that you should know for kind of speedy work around your session pretty much right at the beginning, I think. Would that be right to say?
Yeah, the best shortcuts to start out with.
Yeah, exactly. Now, did anyone bring the clickbait alert klaxon? When is clickbait not clickbait? When the video...
If you don't know these shortcuts, you might die.
Hashtag trust. Okay, so who's going to be kicking off this shortcut fest this morning?
Andy, you look like a festive guy.
I am a festive guy. So after your session started, the first thing you want to do is start to create tracks. So let's go through that, because there's a couple things that can make your workflow just a little easier. So first of all, the whole goal here is not to touch your mouse to have to create tracks, because you're going to be doing it a million times a day. Shift Command N or Shift Control N on a Windows machine is going to open up the new track dialog box in Pro Tools. So here's the new track dialog box. Great. And like I said, the whole point here is not to use your mouse at all. So you can use the tab key to cycle through all the different tab things, but there's a couple other shortcuts that are going to work for you. Command on a Windows computer, or Control on Command on a Mac, or Control on a Windows, and the left and right key is going to change the width of the track. In other words, the number of channels for it. With Pro Tools Standard, it's going to be stereo mono, and that's it. But of course, with Pro Tools Ultimate, you've got the different surround formats, and left and right's going to go with that. The same modifier key, so it's going to be Command or Control, depending upon whether you're Mac or PC. And up and down is going to change your folder type. So if you wanted to create, for example, one stereo aux track, you could use the left and right arrow to choose stereo, and you could use the up and down arrow to choose aux track, and then hit the tab key to choose the number, hit the tab key to choose the name, and then go ahead and click the create button, or better yet, if we're not going to use the mouse, go ahead and just hit the enter key, and it'll create a brand new track for you.
But we can create multiple tracks at the same time. That's one of the things that I love about the new tracks dialog box, is that I can create multiple audio tracks, multiple auxiliaries, and master faders, all within that same window.
Exactly right. And there's different shortcuts for it. The one I actually use is just the one that's easiest for me to remember. If you hold down Shift Command N again, it just adds another row. But there are other shortcuts for that. Anders, what's the other shortcut? Refresh.
I think it's Shift Command Down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
folds it down.
Shift Command Down. Shift Command Down. Yes, and Shift Command Up gets rid of the rows. Right. So that's another way to do it. You know, a lot of ways to skin a cat, and then again, you just go ahead and tab, and the modifier keys work on the row that is targeted. So you're going to find that the number is focused on the bottom track at this point, and so now the command and left arrow is going to go and change the width of that track in that row. But once you're done with it, and it creates those tracks in that order, click the create button or hit the enter key. Bob's your uncle, and you've created new tracks.
Yeah, and that's of course something that you use every day, a million
Every
times, as you said. So knowing those shortcuts are really vital. The other, the next shortcut here is a shortcut that we will need 1,000 times every day as well. This is one of the main windows in Pro Tools, the edit window, where we can see all of our clips and we can edit stuff. And then there's another window, of course, the mix window, where you get to mix your track. And of course you can get to this window and back again by going into the window menu and selecting the edit or mix. But a much faster way is of course to hold down Command and press the equals key, or if you're on a PC, you hold Control and press the equals key. And you can do that on the numeric keypad or on the alphanumeric on the main keyboard. And that's a really great shortcut, but because you're constantly switching between these two windows.
Yeah. So my contribution to this thing is then, once we've created all of our tracks and I've recorded a bunch of stuff on here, and I want to then bus all of my tracks to a new auxiliary track. So I'm going to hold down Alt, which is a do to all command, and I'm going to hover over just one of the output selectors on any of my tracks, and then I'm going to head over to new track, and it's going to bring up something similar to new tracks dialog. I'm going to name a stereo auxiliary drums group, and I'm going to click create. And what Pro Tools will do is now create me a auxiliary called drum group. It's created me a bus called drum group, and it's done all of my routing for me just by holding that lovely little Alt key down.
No, that's great. And the Option key or the Alt key does to all in so many different ways. So if you wanted to put, for example, let's say you wanted to put a channel strip on the first insert of all your tracks, which I do, usually as a master, of course. So you just go and you'll do it right here, holding down the Alt key or the Option key.
I'll do something a little different to your. I'm going to stick my tape machine on everything. So again, this is holding down Alt.
Okay.
Puts the tape machines on all of my common tracks. It doesn't do it for stereo and mono. You have to do those separately, and it won't do it for the auxiliaries.
But Dave, I want on audio 5, 7, and 9. I want to put a EQ7. Okay,
so I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift, and you want EQ7. The addition of the Shift key will apply the do to all command, but to only selected tracks. So whereas all is a do to all, Alt is an option, is a do to all command. If we add that Shift in as the modifier, it only applies that do to all to the tracks I have selected.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, those shortcuts are for PC and for Mac. They are the exact same shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
Great stuff. So I'll just grab the screen here. So I've got a little session here. I've started recorded. My routing is done. But once you've recorded, it can be really, really good to zoom in every once in a while. And to be able to do that, there are a couple of ways to do it. You can use the zoomer tool, for instance. But what we will do is to use a keyboard shortcut that you will use quite a lot. For a lot of shortcuts to work in Pro Tools, you need to make sure that the AZ button up in the right hand corner is switched on. So you just click on this little guy, and that's actually called the keyboard, the Command's keyboard focus button. And so make sure that this button, the AZ button, is orange. If you don't do that, this shortcut might not work for you. And I'll be using T and R to zoom in and to zoom out, which are really good shortcuts that I use a couple of 100 times every day. So T and R will zoom in and out. And when we're speaking of this, zooming in and out is a great thing to do, and you don't want to use the mouse for that.
Let's add one more shortcut that we didn't have planned, and that is the keyboard focus. And this is a good one for beginners to know, because they will hit it by mistake. and it screws up the rest of their shortcuts. So right now, if you take a look at Anders' screen right here, you can see that the command focus is up at the top of the tracks area or the playlist area. Okay, there's two other places that it can be in the edit window. One is at the top of the clips list, and the other is at the top of the groups list. And they do all different things. That's beyond the scope of what we're talking about here. But there's a shortcut that you can use to move that, and that is Command Option 1 is going to keep it up there at the top where it is right now. Command Option 2 is going to move it to the beginning of the clips list, and you can do different things there. Again, we can talk about that on another show. Command Option 3 is then going to go to the groups list. And now here's the thing, is the reason why that's an important shortcut for beginners to know is not that they're going to use it. It's that they'll hit it by mistake and it messes things up. So if you're ever at a point, so right now, R and T is not going to work for Anders if he's focused in the groups, which he's right now. So he can hit R and T all day long. It's not going to do what he wants.
Doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything. So you have to get back to your commands focused up at the top of the playlist area, which is Shift Option 1, and then everything's going to work the way.
Right?
Sorry, yeah, Option Command 1. And that goes back there. Now, there is one qualifier to this. So if you hold down the Control key, even if you're not focused up at the top, like you are right now, the shortcuts will still work. So if Anders is moved back to the groups list, holding down Control and R and Control and T will still work. So if your shortcuts aren't working the way you think they're supposed to, hold down Control. And if they do work the way that they're supposed to work, that means that your command focus is in the wrong place.
Yeah. So Andy, just to make sure that for PC users, that will not be the Control key. That will be the Start key, right?
The Start key.
So holding the Start key and T and R will get you the same behavior as being in Command's keyboard focus mode. Okay, great stuff. Thanks.
Could I just jump and just one little expansion to your zooming workflow, Anders, if that's okay? If I can wrestle Control from you.
Yeah, sure.
For the screen. So I use an Apple Magic Mouse, and one thing that seriously speeds things up for me, obviously we've got R and T that are able to zoom in, but if I use the gestures on my Magic Mouse to navigate left and right and up and down, I can make zooming really, really quick. So if you've got a mouse or a trackball like this, it can really make navigating very, very simple and very speedy.
Yeah, and if you've got a scroll wheel, which most mice do, holding down the Option key will zoom in and out. Or the Alt key.
Great ones. So do I have time for another navigation shortcut?
Have at it.
Okay, so great ways to navigate up and down in your playlist from track to track is to use P and semicolon. And this is another one of these shortcuts that will only work while you're in Command's keyboard focus. So Command and semicolon will take your selection and move it up and down through the tracks.
So P goes up and the semicolon goes down.
Okay. Right now I'm also in my main counter here at bar 11, as you can see. And there's a great shortcut for navigating to a specific bar, or if you hit the asterisk key on the numeric keypad, you will be able to enter a value into your main counter. So you can type in a bar number 14, or a bar number 21, or bar 42, and that's a really, really quick way to navigate. So hitting the asterisk key will get you there.
We've talked about this one before. I use that all the time when I'm working in Melodyne, like full screen Melodyne, and just want to bounce through different parts of the song.
That even works in playback.
It does. Let's see. I'll take over. So a couple more. This one is yet another Option or Alt key shortcut, and it's a super one for editing. So I've got the grabber tools here, and I'm going to select this clip here. Boom. Holding down Option while you drag is going to make a copy of that clip and drag the copy, leaving the original clip alone. So right now I've dragged a MIDI clip. It created a copy. The original clip is left unchanged, and the copy is wherever I dragged it and deposited it.
Okay, and on that same vein, if I can take the screen control away from you, so that's alt copying on the mix window, but if we can do exactly the same thing on the edit window for plugins. If we hold down alt and drag them around the inserts, actual duplications. It's not just taking inserting another version of the plugin, it's actually copying the plugin, which is very cool. And if you're copying between tracks of different widths, it will also allow you to copy onto from mono tracks to stereo tracks, for example. I think if we copy back the other way, at some point... It does
work now.
Yeah, okay. It was at one point it was asking which of the left or the right channels you would... Oh, that's only on multi-mono plugins, isn't it?
That's right. So it used to be that you couldn't drag a stereo onto a mono or a mono onto a stereo. Now you can with Pro Tools.
Yes.
By the way, the same thing works with sends. So option dragging on anything that can be dragged, probably going to make a copy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a perfect, if we do go back to the do to all one again, that's a perfect one for copying a entire kind of Q mix, if you want to set up a Q mix very quickly. And alt is also a reset to infinity. Unity, sorry. Yes, I'm at infinity. There you go, Unity.
And beyond.
To Unity and beyond.
To Unity and beyond.
Alt is so freaking useful.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Possibly the most overused key on a keyboard, next to Command S.
Yes, which is underutilized. Save early, save often. All right. So how do I? Let's see. Let me do one more here. And this is going to be in the world of mixing. So I'll move over to the mix window here. Okay. So you're going to want sometimes to have your faders grouped so that they move as one. So what I'll do is I've already have a couple of groups here, and I'll just go ahead and scroll down to somewhere where I don't have. Let's say I've got my pianos. So here's my 3 different piano tracks, a master fader, and 2 MIDI instrument tracks. So I'll go over here, and the shortcut, not hard to remember, it's Command G to create a new group. Or if you're on a Windows machine, Control G. And the reason why I select the tracks early is because if you do that, I'll hold down Command E and then pop it, and you'll see the new the Create Group dialog box already populated with the selected tracks. You don't have to select the tracks, but it is just an easy way to just kind of preload that so that it's already got that, and then all you need to do is name the group.
It's so natural to select the tracks and then create the group afterwards. Isn't it? I think it's a natural way of working. I think
it's a good habit to get into. Now, what we like to do here at Pro Tools Answers is add one little sugar cube. And one of the cool things that you could do with groups is, check it out. If you hold the Control key on a Mac or the Start key on a Windows computer and click on a group, even if that group's not an active group, what it will do is it will show only the members of that group. So I hold down Control, clicked on the saxes, and now you're seeing only the members of that sax group. And notice that the sax group is not even an active group right now. If I hold down Control and I hit piano, you'll see then that my screen is going to change over there to just show only my piano tracks, which is super, super cool. If you create groups of all your different track types, then, first of all, it's great for mixing. But second of all, that particular shortcut, the modifier, actually, Command and click on there, is going to show only those tracks. Control.
Yep.
And that shows just the select the group, and hides everything else while you need it. And if you want to show all the tracks, hold down Control and click the All group, which is always there waiting for you. And boom, all my tracks are going to be shown. eventually. There we go, right there.
I mean, that's just such a great shortcut. I wish someone told me that early in my Pro Tools career. It took me a couple of years to understand how that works, but that's fantastic. I use that quite a lot. And the best part is that you don't even have to have active groups. You can just create them and then shut them off. Making them not highlighted means that the group is not active, but you can still use it to show and hide. Great stuff.
Awesome. So a really nice bunch of shortcuts. I think that all of us, we use all of those multiple times a day, multiple times a week. And it's for me, each of those speeds up my work. Just so it's unquantifiable, actually, how fast that makes things. And it's great when you're in the room with a client and you're just zipping around your session, doing the most mundane things very, very quickly. It just allows you to get into the creative space a lot quicker, doesn't it? And I think clients appreciate that. I certainly appreciate it when I'm doing my own stuff. Just getting the door out of the way and getting straight into making music. That's what we're all here for, right? Okay. If you've enjoyed what we were doing, you can hit like on the video. You can hit subscribe on Pro Tools Answers if you want to follow us. If you want to be notified of all of our recent release videos, you can hit the bell icon as well. If you fancy heading over to protoolsanswers.com, you can subscribe over there. You get a nice weekly email from Andy with some information and also some nice little freebies that he drops in every so often as well. And if you could see your way to support Pro Tools Answers formally, you can head over to patreon.com/Pro Tools Answers. You can pick a manageable Patreon tier over there and lend your support to the channel. All leaves me to say is thank you very much to Anders.
Thank you.
Thank you to Andy.
You bet.
My name's Dave. We'll see you next time. This is Pro Tools Answers, and we're out.